Hello everybody, my name is Nicola and welcome back to my channel. I blog at thefrugalcottage.com all about budgeting, money saving, investing and lots of things in between. And today's video is a budget with me for May 2020, so it's me setting up our budget for the month ahead. It's up slightly early because I've been thinking about what to do with our budget in terms of going forward, especially if we're in for another entire month of just being at home. Obviously that's going to have an impact on what we spend overall. I do recommend that you track your budget in some shape or form if you don't already, whether it be through pen and paper, an app, a spreadsheet, whatever you find works for you. I'll leave a link to this in the description box below to this budget planner. It is available on my site. It is the thing I use every month to track our finances, which enable us to save money. So obviously I would recommend to download this, but you need to find a system that works for you. So as always, I've got my starting point, which is my monthly overview, which is where I put my budget stickers for the direct debits that come out of our account for our bills. So I share these every month, but they're my favourite. So I use these little stickers if you've not seen these before. This is the company, Happy Cutie Studio. It's on Etsy. But I have these stickers for the different bills I have each month. Our mortgage goes out on the 1st of the month. I like to have the bigger bills go out on the 1st of the month because obviously then they're kind of just done and you don't have to worry about them anymore. So mortgage goes out on the 1st of the month, as does our council tax. I've got a little sticker for that too. They're the two biggest kind of standing orders direct debits that we have, as I presume is the case for most people. So they both go out on the 1st of the month. The next thing to go out is our water bill, and that goes out on the 8th of the month, again just by direct debit. Although I was listening to someone on Instagram stories the other day and they save up and they pay for their water and their council tax all in one go each year, because then each month it kind of their overall bills are less, and I don't know whether that's a better way around it. I'd not really considered that before. Do you do that? Have you heard of anybody doing that before? I didn't even really think about it as an option, but it's given me something to think about going forward anyway. The next thing is our dual fuel bill, so we pay for gas and electric at the same time. That goes out on the 22nd of the month. These are all Fridays. 22nd of the month. And then my payday, which is clearly the best one, that's the day we all wait for, isn't it really, let's be honest, is the 25th of the month. So that's what my bill calendar looks like at the moment, which is good. Obviously you might have different payments set up, you might have different things that go out, but this is what ours look like, and I like to have it as the front page as an overview so that I can see what's going on during the month in terms of bills going out. I keep thinking I should get a mobile phone one because I also have a mobile phone bill that goes out every month, but maybe that's something I should put on my list. It's not really a necessity though at the moment, is it? Anyway, so that's the overall bill calendar there. The next stage, so the monthly budget, lots of base for income. We only have, I say only, I wrote a post on Instagram the other day about how I'm building up to having 7 different streams of income. That's the long-term aim, I suppose. But at the moment on our budget, all I check is my paycheck, my husband's paycheck, and we get child benefit for 2 children. So that's what our income kind of adds up to in this. I don't count any income from my kind of blog work at the moment. Most of the time that just goes into savings of some description, and to be honest it's so variable that it doesn't really add up. It doesn't add up to as much as I'd want it to, and it sometimes kind of can skew the numbers a bit more in terms of budget, so I kind of leave that separate. I also don't count any dividend income that I receive in here because that's all kept inside my stocks and shares ISA. I'll leave a link below to my latest video on my dividend income if you're interested in that, but that all just stays inside there, so I don't really count that as income either. But there are lots, there's 6 lines there for different income streams, and the aim overall is to have multiple income streams, but it's a slow process and not much progress in that respect. But anyway, so the variable expenses are things I'm going to write in now. We only have 4. If you've seen my no spend year video, you'll know that already, although I started the year off in a very different circumstance, but we are trying to continue the no spend year because in some ways staying at home makes that easier. But we've got 4 variable expenses. So food. Now I haven't done my April budget recap yet because it's not the end of the month, but I increased our food budget to £300 for the month. We're a family of 4, and I do know that unless a miracle happens, we will go over that, and we've never spent that much money in a month on food, I don't think. However, it's because we're at home all the time and we're eating more. The boys are eating what feels like all the time. So when I set the £300 a month budget, I thought that'd be more than enough. But it isn't in April apparently. However, I am going to stick to that in May. I don't want to put it up any further because then that feels like we're just spending a lot of money for the 4 of us. And it's not like I'm feeding 2 teenagers, I'm feeding a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Although the 2-year-old can eat. But it seems like any more than 300 would be just, I don't know, a number that I'm not comfortable with anyway. So I'm going to keep that £300 for now. And we'll hopefully come under budget, but I just don't know. It just, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The next is petrol. So we're a 1-car household. And as I'm not travelling for work as much, well, not as much at all at the moment, and presumably that will continue for most of May, I think, I'm presuming. Our petrol budget would be normally £120 a month. I think I'm going to put this down to £80, and that's just because my husband is using the car to get to his work, but it's nowhere near as far, and we're just not using petrol in the same way. So, you know, that's a good thing for the budget, but it just needs to reflect that. So £80 for petrol I think will be more than enough. The next one for us is miscellaneous. All the household things, the cat things, anything else that doesn't really fit. This stays at £100. It's apart from when it gets nearer to Christmas, this always stays at £100, and generally does us alright. Depends if everything runs out at the same time, which has happened. But that should do us. And then the final one is children. So like I said, I've got 2 boys, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and their budget is £100, and it's going to stay like that. Now, in April so far, we've not spent anything on them out of their budget. Now obviously we buy food for them, the miscellaneous household stuff also counts, but in terms of things specifically for them, we've not spent any yet. So unless that changes in the last week, we won't have touched their budget this month. I'm going to keep it the same for May, so I'm going to keep it at £100 just in case you know, things change and we can suddenly get more places or whatever. I don't see that happening, to be quite honest. Or they need new clothes or new shoes, because shoes can be quite expensive if they both need them at the same time, which also tends to happen annoyingly, but there we go. So there are 4 variable expenses. So food is £300, petrol is £80, miscellaneous £100, and children £100. So that, what does that add up to? £580 is our planned variable expenses. Writing £300 for food just seems really weird, but yeah, there we go, we'll see. So that's that for the budget ahead for those. Oh, I can't turn the page today. So the next page in this is a debt repayment plan. It has space for you to write down any debts, the balance, the interest rate, which is important, and the minimum payment, and then a space for any extra debt payments. So if you're aiming to kind of pay off more of your debt, it gives you space to write that down, and then the total debt repayments and progress there. So that's quite a handy one if you're tracking debt repayments, and it helps you, hopefully helps you to motivate you to maybe make a token extra payment if you can, especially at this time. It might be really tricky, I appreciate that. Sinking funds, so I mentioned these in April's thing. I don't have a specific plan for those at the moment. I have 4, but 3 of them seem like they're quite redundant. Not 3, 2, maybe 3. So like the school one seems redundant at the moment because he's not there. I've also got a summer holidays one, but at the moment, you know, who knows what we might or might not be doing. It just seems like a really weird thing to save for if we are just at home. So I've got that in there. It's handy to use if you are doing sinking fund things. So you'd say what the fund is, if you've added anything or taken away, and what the new total of that is. But at the moment that is going to just stay blank for me, I think, at this stage. May no spend days. So I said at the beginning of April that I would normally do the food shop, but my husband is, so whenever he does things like the food shop or put petrol in the car, I'm going to count that as a spend day even though I'm not leaving the house. And that will continue through May. It might seem a bit of a weird system, but if everything was normal, it would be me doing that spending, if that makes sense. So I think I'll keep that the same. So my aim for May is 20. Which gives me 11 days for spending, which surely we should be able to manage. Pens, I don't know, online spending seems more and more tempting at the moment. I think it's because it would be something to do for 5 minutes, which sounds daft. But I so far have resisted ordering things, although I am kind of making like a mental list of things I want to order. There's a couple of Instagram shops that I follow, like really nice, like homemade, handmade stuff for the house that are currently closed, but I would quite like to support them when they open again. So again, it's just we'll see what happens, and I feel like I'm going to say that a lot this month because it just feels like a bit like limbo, doesn't it? We're just a bit in limbo, we're waiting or not waiting, I don't know, it's just weird. So 20 no spend days is my target. I will turn over. Again, expense tracker, obviously not going to be anything in there yet. I colour code my categories. You know, if you've watched my videos for a while, you'll know that if I flip back to April's one, for example, you'll see that I colour code mine. It's just though at a quick glance you can see what your categories are in terms of which ones you spend most in and which ones you don't. I like that. I'm very much a pen and paper visual kind of person, if that's not obvious by my planner. I think that manually writing down expenses is so much more eye-opening than just logging it on a spreadsheet or entering on an app. I think the physical process of writing it out, especially if you end up writing loads because you've been shopping to loads of different places or whatever, really makes that much more like obvious, evident, and maybe makes you think more about how many times you need to spend your money. That's, you know, that's how I feel about that, and obviously that at the moment is empty. So there's 3 pages for those. I've just skipped on, but there is 3. Then there's a weekly check-in. So this is to see whether you are keeping on track during the month. Again, I find this good for tracking variable expenses. Obviously your fixed expenses don't change, and you know, as long as you pay them, there's no reason to track those. But all the variable expense categories that you have, it is good to keep on track so that you know where you are. So the space for the category, what you spent during that week, and therefore what's remaining from your budget. So say it was food, our budget is £300, so if you spent £70 here, the remaining would be £230 going forward, and that can help when you're kind of balancing lots of different things together, and that's obviously blank as well. The next thing is a bill tracker. Now I use this page as my bill tracker. We don't have that many, although like I said, I've got a mobile phone bill that could go in there. This, if you've got lots of different bills that go out at different times, then this can be handy to write that down. So it's the date of the month it goes out, the type, so whether it's a standing order, a direct debit or a manual payment, so the transaction, so where it's come from, I suppose, the category, so what is it, and the amount. It is quite helpful to, if you've got lots of bills, to have them all in one place. In fact, I'd be tempted to fill that out and then keep it somewhere else, because if in theory they're going to be the same every month, give or take, and it's handy to know when that comes. Extra income, so this is normally things to track like Facebook or eBay sales. I've not done any since this all started. I'm wary of sending more and more things to the post office and kind of creating people who are still having to be at work extra work, if that makes sense. So I'll leave that for now. It does have, so transactions, so where it was, so eBay, Facebook, whatever, the amount, and then a running total. So that was quite motivational when I was doing that as a challenge, to see the running total go up there. I was thinking again, like back in kind of January, February before this, that I would do this and put any extra income, because generally it was either in cash or in PayPal, which then you can transfer, add this into sinking funds and get them kind of filled in that way. Obviously that hasn't gone to plan, but any extra income, if you get any at the moment, which is fab, you know, be putting it in your emergency fund or your sinking funds, or if your income is precarious, just keep it in your current account and kind of hold on to it so that it's there just in case. But that's that one. If I then turn over again, I can't turn pages over today apparently. There we go. So my monthly savings aim, so you know, thankfully my husband and I are both considered key workers, so our income hasn't changed at the moment. Obviously there's no guarantee that stays the same going forward if things change, but for now it's the same. So my savings aim is the same for now, and each month my savings aim is £700. So each square is worth 7, because there's 100 squares on there. That was going all into my investment account, so to create that passive income stream of dividends. However, after kind of looking at our like liquid cash, if you like, so think the cash that we have immediate access to if necessary, ours was the general, I've got £1,000 as an emergency fund, baby step one, so to speak, and then we left it. And I was talking to another money blogger online, and I was saying how I felt like maybe that wasn't enough, and she was like, yeah, that's not enough at all. So it is £700, but it's not all going to go in investments, although that then doesn't follow my plan. It's really tricky. I need to slowly up the amount in our emergency fund, so it's going to be a balancing act. If you've watched my side hustle income videos, and I'll leave the latest one below to that if you want to have a watch, you'll know that any kind of side income I make at the moment is being transferred over to our emergency fund. And yes, I wish that was more, but you know, I'm trying my best. But my savings aim is £700, as it is every month so far. And then the last page here for the May budget planner, it's just a reflection. So these are the variable categories, and whether you've gone over budget or you've managed to stay under budget, and then things to do differently in the month of June, in the month after that if necessary. So things like if you go over on food, is there anything you could have done, maybe not done? It's, you know, it's thinking, it's being reflective on your own spending habits, and again I find that quite useful. So that's my budget setup for May. Like I said, I'll link this budget planner below if you want to download it, and I do recommend you tracking your finances in some way or another, just so you know where your money is going, because you know, there's no bad side to that, unless it's going to places where you don't want it to go. But that's May's budget, and you know, it's another month of, we'll just see what happens, and I'm at home, I'm safe at home, I miss my mum. But you know, hopefully after all this has ended, things might be better, and maybe, I don't know, maybe slower, maybe people might appreciate certain things more, I don't know. Anyway, how are you doing? Have you thought about your budget for May yet? I know it seems a bit early, but there's no better time to get ahead with your finances than now. Let me know how you're feeling. I hope you're staying safe. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again soon.